bad addict. Every time I was able to get a loan, I was doing drugs.
I've been to prison 4 times, twice in the state, twice in the fed.
I was doing all this crazy stuff, cooking drugs and just staying high.
God called me from a prison cell. I was a homeless drug addict, and my hope was found in a needle.
I was 8 months pregnant, homeless, living out of my van.
You know, it wasn't Freeway that saved me, it wasn't John Stroup that saved me, but God uses Freeway in such a mighty way as a tool to reach these people.
There's not a community or a county in America that doesn't have a drug problem. And the church has the answer, and it's the gospel of Jesus Christ. Welcome to One Broken Life. My name is John Stroup with my special guest, Brad Denney.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on, Brad.
Glad to be here.
One Broken Life, we explore the intimate details of people's lives, and we believe many times the bigger the mess, the bigger the message. Freeway Ministries, one of our catchphrases is reaching the hard to reach, one broken life at a time. And so today we're going to explore your broken life. Where you used to be, Brad, in your addiction and in your old lifestyle when you came to Christ, and now where you're at today. And one of the verses that we really cling to on One Broken Life is Psalms 51:17. And it says, the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. God uses broken things. And so thank you for coming on the show today. And I'm just going to ask that you just share a little bit of your testimony, where you come from when you were young, a little bit of your childhood.
Yeah, I grew up on a family farm not far from here, Seymour, Missouri. I remember as a kid we had more than most, you know. My dad he grew up in the Great Depression. He never had anything, and I feel like he thought if he could just give his kids a little bit, they would have a great chance, you know. He kind of spoiled me, and instead of taking advantage of that, it kind of led me down a dark path. I got to thinking I had entitlement issues, you know. If a teacher would get on to me at school, they might lose their job or get in trouble. The local cops would pull me over on my motorcycle, and they'd get scolded when they'd call Dad, you know, to send me home. And it just made me really think I was something that I wasn't. And I, you know, started acting like people owed me something, and just went down a very, very bad path, you know.
So just give our listeners a little bit of your childhood.
Well, like I said, growing up, my dad, we lived on a family farm. We farmed in the summertime. My dad was a bookie in the winter.
What's a bookie? Because I'm somebody that just imagines there's people listening that don't know what a bookie is.
Okay, well, yeah, he took sports bet. People bet football. We had a couple phone lines in the house, and people would call him and bet football, and then, you know, he was just kind of like the Vegas of a small town, you know.
So it was a gambling operation.
It was a gambling operation, yeah.
Okay, like sports bets today or whatever.
Yeah, but it was at that time illegal.
And how old were you?
When he started, it was I was real young when he started, but by the time I was 18, I was running a book here, and he was running one in Oklahoma. It really wasn't the kind of thing where there was a lot of muscle in collecting the money, but people kind of thought there was, and that kind of gave me a reputation that kind of came along, and I liked that. You know, at the time, it seemed like, you know, people respected me more because they thought I collected money for my dad. He was kind of a big deal in a small town.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a few people in small towns like that who are like a household name, you know. People really didn't know what was going on at our house. They thought they did. They all, you know, we were the talk of the town a lot of times.
So I hear you talk about your dad a lot. What about your mom?
Well, my mom was, she stayed home a lot. She had a lot of trouble with nerves. She had 3 or 4 nervous breakdowns. I spent a lot of my childhood in the Marion Center visiting her, and me and my sister would basically take care of her when she was at home. When she was fine, she was fine. But when she was not, she wasn't. I remember her, she drove one car through a bowling alley down at Ava one time. And then I was coming home from school one afternoon, and she had flipped a new pickup over in about 18-foot ditch, and I drove up on it. She crawled out of the ditch and had a knot on her head the size of a softball. It was you just never knew what was gonna be with her. You know, it's a mental health is something that's very, very hard to deal with. You know.
So whenever you were young, you're talking about 18 years old, you're running a gambling operation, illegal gambling operation with your dad. So, you know, that kind of lifestyle at a young age with a parental masculine figure in your life gives you a different view of authority, gives you a different view of law enforcement, criminal mentality, what's right, what's wrong. And so tell us about when you started, you know, using drugs and alcohol, and then, you know, I know your story. You know, you ended up being a full-blown addict, and just a little bit of that.
Well, I, of course, started with marijuana, drinking, and then it moved into meth, you know. And once it got into meth, it was meth and women. And that was, I was stealing money from my dad's book to just party, you know. And then I would have to make that up some way or the other. It was always robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it just got to be a bad thing. Finally, the FBI kicked our door in, and we lost our farm, took everything, my identity, everything, you know. I ended up getting a job framing houses, did that for several years, found a wife, got married, had kids, you know, found a new identity.
How many kids?
4. The oldest severely handicapped. He had Gulch syndrome, but they really didn't diagnose him with that till later because all the boys that had Gulch syndrome passed away before like 12 or 13 years old. Okay. And he had lived past that. And
so you had some kids, and you had a marriage.
Yeah.
And you were a working man.
Yep.
And probably just guessing, because I don't know the intimate details of that situation, but you were, you know, God, guns, and family, country living type thing. And
yeah.
You work hard, you play hard, you come home, and that kind of life.
Here's the thing: I still worked for my dad. He built houses. You know, like I said, my dad came from the great. You could give my dad a nickel, he can go around the world and bring you change. I'm like, he's one of those guys that just can make money with nothing. You know, just has that knack, always has. But he always kept me working. I always did something for him. You know, usually kept us busy framing houses. So it was still, I was under his tutelage. You know, and then ended up. My wife. Actually, I went to St. Louis to build a house for my sister, and me and my wife started having trouble. Of course, there was no God in our life, so it was like our relationship was just on the rocks anyway. You know, we were just young, bunch of kids, one handicap. It was just a handful, you know.
Yeah.
And she started messing around with a friend of mine.
Were you sober?
Oh, absolutely not.
So no. You were still in your addiction?
Oh yeah, still.
So you're using alcohol, meth?
Functioning addict. My dad just enabled me, you know. I would lie to him. I would tell him, you know, he never really checked me. You know, he knew it took a lot to make money, but that was my dad's thing. He always threw money at problems.
Yeah.
You know, he would always just go make more money when my mom would be sick or something would happen. When I was a kid, the rule was you didn't make mom nervous and you didn't lie to dad. But to keep from making mom nervous, you had to lie to dad. You know what I mean? It was just a turmoil. You just
toxic.
Couldn't. Yeah, toxic.
And so your wife is unfaithful, you know, and you guys you have a severely handicapped young child, and you have other children in the home, and so you're headed down with a nuclear bomb, and you're riding it out of the airplane. I mean, everything's about to blow up.
Oh yeah.
And so, kind of take us what happens.
Well, my dad had money, you know, and I was his golden child, you know, for some reason. I don't know. He hired a PI. I got all my kids, sent her down the road, you know. Hindsight's 20/20. I paid more money to someone to take care of my kids than I would ever had to pay her child support, and my kids would have got to be with their mom. But my feelings were hurt.
So there's guilt.
Guilt, shame, embarrassment, the fact that she was messing around with one of my friends, my pride. I handled it totally. Now seeing it, it was totally wrong. But at the time, I thought I was totally right.
How many times you been in prison?
I just went to prison one time.
Okay.
But
so tell us, let's kind of hit that rock bottom moment. Like, your wife is gone. She's with your buddy. You're full of guilt, shame.
Well, I remarried.
Okay.
Actually, divorced her, then remarried her again. But then I hurt my back framing houses. And then I got introduced to pain pills. And that led me down a road that I ended up robbing the dope man. Almost beat him to death. It was, I can't even make it sound like a good idea now, but I stole a pound of meth from him. It was first-degree assault, armed criminal action, and first-degree burglary were the first 3 charges they hit me with.
So he called the police on you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's strange. For those that don't know, drug dealers don't call the police when you take their drugs. They usually put you in the trunk.
Well,
so.
But I almost put him in the trunk, so I think he, I don't know why I called the, honestly, I didn't think he would call the police. That's, in my mind, that criminal thinking at that time is why I did it. He can't call the law on me because just a dope man, right? But he's not just a dope man. He's somebody's son,
right?
Somebody's brother, somebody's dad.
So they come and get you.
Come and get me. I ended up doing 5 flat.
That means 5 years in prison.
Yeah, 5 years in prison. A little over. Well, actually, I had a 6-year sentence. I did 5 years in a month. Got out. I home planned to my sister's house in Moscow Mills. She's good Christian people. I did good for a while. Did walk my year of probation down. I was going to church with them. Got a good job at General Motors. Got a new pickup. Bought a house. Bought another truck. Got a girlfriend. Man, everything's great,
As far as the world's concerned.
As far as the world's
got all
concerned.
the worldly things.
No God in my life still.
Trying to find your identity.
Trying to find my identity. And a friend of mine from home passed away, and I just used it for a reason to get high. I was off probation. And just a few months later, I was cooking meth in my house. A few months later, the power gets turned off. The water gets turned off. My girlfriend realizes something's up. She leaves. She had moved in a bunch of furniture. And I wake up one Saturday morning, and she has to trick me because she has a dog, and she's afraid I won't let her have the dog. So she says her daughter's going to take the dog to the park. And she comes over, and her daughter takes the dog and gets out of there. And then her son and a couple vehicles roll in with trailers to load all of her stuff out, which I didn't care at that time. I just wanted her gone.
How old were you, Brad?
At that time, I was probably, 51, maybe 51 or 2. Okay. And then...
Let me stop you for a minute. So there's a lot of people right now listening. Maybe not a lot. We're not the most popular podcast in the world, but there's going to be someone listening, and they'll be ready to give up on their 30-year-old son or their 40-year-old daughter. But you were 50. And God turned you around, and you're old and older. And no offense, I give you a hard time because your age, because you're my friend picking on you. But I'm not picking on you right now. I'm being serious. God allowed you to be in your addiction for 50 years. Till you're 50 years old, and so that's encouraging in a way to me.
Well, I think he had me right where he wanted me, because he's got something he wants me to do, and he had to bring me through that. He had to get me ready to do what he wants me to do.
So you're 50 years old. You're staying in a trap house.
With no water, no power, and no side of it because I took the copper all out.
So you took all the copper out of the walls?
Out of the walls.
So how did you use the bathroom, Brad, for our listeners? What did you do when you had to go to the bathroom?
Well, we buckets of water. We flushed I lived pretty close to a creek. I lived in the Quiver River, so I hauled water in, and I just dumped water in the toilet and flushed it,
Yeah.
And then, but it was I was on city sewer, and it was pretty nasty. I had a big clean out. I had to clean out by hand.
Yeah.
nobody ever wanted to do. There'd be 15 or 20 people living there, but nobody ever wanted to do that. You know, but it was disgusting.
So what happens next?
Well, my daughter told me she was going to get married, and she wanted me to walk her down the aisle, but she wanted me to have 6 months clean and sober. She wasn't going to let me do it. I mean, I didn't know it, but I looked pretty rough. You know,
she is such a special girl.
That girl don't know how to fail. There's something about her.
So she tells you, Dad, you need help. I want to get married, and I don't want to get married till you can walk me down the aisle. Did she already have a date, or was she going to wait?
No, she had a date. It was 11 months out, and she wanted me to have 6 months clean and sober. So, and of course, in my addiction and my thinking, I got 5 months, right? You know, so I'm like, I'm just waiting, you know. And at this point in my life, it's like getting high is not as much fun as it used to be. You know, it's really a burden at this point. Just hard to find stuff. But I lived in that house. They couldn't kick me out because of COVID. You know,
you was renting it?
I bought it, but it was in foreclosure. But
Okay.
they couldn't kick me out because of COVID, and they're giving me $600. I was drawing $300 a month or $300 a week unemployment. Plus, they were giving me $600 extra. Plus, every little bit they're putting $1,400 in everybody's account because of those stimuluses. You know, it was just like it was a nightmare.
Free money.
Free well,
Doesn't help nobody, does it?
It was not free. It came with, you know what I mean.
Well, people walk away from church for $1,000, you know, stimulus check. So,
I mean, I get that, but it's
I
like,
would be interested to see the rates for overdoses and different things like that during that time when people got those checks.
Yep.
And didn't have to do anything to get them.
I guarantee it was up. There's no way it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I lived right in the middle of it, you know. But that was the only reason that I got to stay there, you know, was because they were funding it, and finally that ran out. So then I ended up, the COVID kind of passed. They're ready to be able to kick me out of the house. So I fled before they got there, you know. And
Where'd you go?
just across the street into living in a camper. I bought a camper from a lady that lived in a van next door. Her house had burnt down, and
So you're living in a camper. In the back of your mind, you're thinking about your daughter.
I'm thinking I'm just waiting till that last day till I got to have, you know, get somewhere when I got to have 6 months in.
So what makes you come to that place of
Well,
surrender?
before that happened, my youngest son came one morning, woke me up with the news that my oldest son had passed away. The handicapped boy had died, and that broke me. It brought me to a point of where I just, getting high wasn't doing it anymore. It was just, I didn't care to get high at all. I didn't want to be awake. And I didn't even really want to live, you know. I really wanted to know and believe he was somewhere brand new, getting to do things that he never got to do while he was here.
Yeah.
And my daughter found Freeway. She thought it'd be a good fit for me. Funny thing is, the first thing I thought was like the no girl deal was like, that was going to be a killer for me. You know, it just wasn't going to, I didn't think that was going to fly. But I don't know, everything just fell into place. You know, they say it's hard to get in, but it wasn't for me.
Not if you're willing to do the work.
I mean, things just fell into place. It was a God fit, you know. And even when I first got here, you know, I told you I had a plan, you know. I was going to get 6 months in, walk my daughter down the aisle, and then just go on a death mission, you know. But God got a hold of me in that Deerfield house that day that Zach had COVID and was late for work, and I was headed to Freeway, realized it was Monday, cold. I'd have been stuck out there, you know. Went back in, I just started reading my Bible. Next thing I knew, I was on my face, and everything changed. Now, I've been on a few mission trips with you.
Some fun.
Getting ready to go to Tennessee for a year, plant a Freeway. Some amazing things have happened.
So you gave your life to Christ in that old Deerfield house. A lot of people got saved in that house so far on the south side there. You're in the men's discipleship program. 1 year long residential program through Freeway Ministries, who of course produces this. And you have some clean time now. You've worked to get in. You're around other guys. You're working on getting to be where you can walk your daughter, who is phenomenal lady, young woman, down the aisle and marry her, see her married. And so what's it like in the house? I mean, you're getting somebody, we're telling you how to live, we're addressing your behaviors.
Oh man, it's structured like I've never seen ever. There's Monday night Bible study house meeting. Tuesday is a free night until you've been there for a little while. Then you do one-on-one discipleship. Wednesday night's church. Thursday night's seasons classes. Friday night's Freeway West. Saturday night's Freeway headquarters. Sunday is a church at Crossway twice. It was overwhelming at first, but like I said, after I was there, but I think I was there a week, maybe 10 days when I got saved. Whenever I had a heart change. And it just became fun. I got hungry for it.
Yeah.
And it's like the more I got, the more I wanted.
So you graduated?
I did. 18 months later, I graduated.
I used to ask Brad, I'd say, when you graduate, what would you say?
Never graduate from obedience. And
it's a lifestyle.
It is.
And so you had a mentor, somebody work with you?
I did. Several actually. I had the one-on-one discipleship. I had Jim Rather. He was a pharmacist, and my plan was to kill meth dealers and blow up pharmacists till they kill me. And I told him that, and then you told me he was a pharmacist. I thought, only God puts that together,
Yeah, you had a plan to go blow pharmacies up and kill meth dealers and. That's a feasible, rational plan to a lost man who's sober. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
And then Jesus gets a hold of your heart, and we line you up with a mentor who's a pharmacist, and he's my Sunday school teacher, and a really good man.
Yeah.
Friend, brother. And so then God calls you. And before we kind of talk about that, tell us about your daughter, Lindsay, and being able to walk her down the aisle, because you got to do that.
I did. It was Brett Odom went with me as my accountability partner, and it was me and Brett just looked at each other in awe the whole time. We were both in tears. It was just the most beautiful thing that I'd ever seen in my life. Yeah. Crazy. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like it. Never been a part of anything like it. And on the way home, he's telling me he's feeling the same way about it. He's like, man, I'm so glad I got to do that with you, And
Brett's a missionary too. He went to help oversee a men's house in Sanford, Florida.
Yep.
And he, so you guys together on that trip, and now look,
God put us. We came through the program all the way together, until the end, and he went to lead the O'Hara house.
And your daughter, you got to pray at the wedding?
I got to pray at the wedding. And my daughter has been she's went through the Freeway discipleship. She's went through Carla McLaughlin's discipleship, making disciples class. She is on fire for the Lord. My youngest son has come to the Lord. And I have another son that is, I'm still praying for him, but he's going to get there.
And so whenever you have things that you do, share your testimony. You've been preaching a little bit.
I got the opportunity to preach twice. It was scary, but it was fun.
So me and you go to. We've been to Oklahoma, Tennessee. Where else we've been? Is that
Texas.
Texas, and so on some different things. And so you go to Tennessee, and they down in Tri-City area, Kingsport. Pastor Paul Schaefer, big shout out, Kingsport, Tennessee Freeway. Brother Kevin King. So you're down there, and they need a men's home, and so. You graduate the men's house and you go to the second stage home, trying to just figure out what's next. Intern with us, go through our Timothy Project internship program. And we go down to Tennessee and you just feel like that's the place God's going to send you.
It is. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, I just know it is.
So what's it like preaching the gospel?
I know when I get to heaven, God's going to look at me and say, "You never seen that coming, did you?"
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's my dad came. I had an aunt there, a lady that I graduated high school with her daughter. I mean, I think they were just coming to see if it was real, if it was really me, you know. The little redheaded spoiled kid on the motorcycle that talked back to everybody and
Our
didn't listen to
bald-headed
nobody.
kid, because you don't have any hair now.
Well, not now, but I used to.
You know, we're all so proud of you and what God has done.
Well, I'm so thankful to you guys for doing what you do. I know Freeway doesn't save anybody. I know God saves people. But I know God uses people also. He uses rescued people to rescue people. And that's what this ministry is all about.
So how long have you been clean and sober now, Brad?
Let's see, be 2 years and a month or two now.
Have you ever been on the street as an adult without drinking and drugging for 2 years and 2 months?
Not since I've been 13 years old, no.
Yeah. And so did you ever think that you could be where you are right now?
No. No, I thought I would just be, I thought I would die in addiction probably, you know, go out in a blaze of glory sometime.
So it's unique for you because you have such a big support system. Like your family is like there for you, you know, sisters and, you know, kids and your dad and, you know, they're all there for you and they want to support you and they're proud of you. And you're the spiritual leader to the family now, right?
Yep.
And so you're like the spiritual leader to your family.
Yep.
How's that feel?
Well, God put on my heart that my addiction affected everyone that I loved. I should make my recovery do the same thing.
Yeah. Amen. So what's your biggest burden, Brad?
My biggest burden is bringing lost people to the Lord.
Yeah.
Giving people a second chance to reunite with their family. Reconciliation. God first, family second.
Okay. Are you happy?
Absolutely. The happiest I've ever been.
You got joy?
I have joy. I have peace. I have joy. Doesn't matter. I know where I'm going. It doesn't matter.
So what would you say to somebody who's out there listening, who's in addiction, struggling? I mean, what message do you have for them right now, Brad?
Don't give up. Don't quit. God doesn't recruit from the pedestal. God recruits from the pit. He found Gideon in a hole, Daniel in a lion's den. God shows up when there's trouble, not when there's a lack of it.
Okay.
And where the world sees failure, God sees future.
And you know, this is going to be aired in 100 different prisons through Pando. And so what do you say to that guy that's about to parole out? He's going to go back to his family or go back to old girl's house or, you know, that same old thing again. What would you say to that person?
It don't have to be like it used to be.
Okay.
You can repent, change your thinking. God will change your heart, and you can be brand new.
Well, and today is Wednesday, and so today is Tuesday.
Tuesday.
In a couple of days, you're going to be leaving.
Yep.
And you're going to be going to Tennessee. And
Tuesday.
you're going to be starting your life over again. And I love you, and I'm so proud of you. And we're going to be praying for you and encouraging you. And as my buddy Joey says, the best is yet to come, brother. And so one of the things that's cool is that God sends you on a great adventure. And all you got to do is put your yes on the table. And my yes is on the table. And it has no strings attached to it. Whatever you want me to do, wherever you want me to go, whenever you want me to do it, I'm in, God. It's like a blank contract. I sign it and let him fill it out. And so that's what you've done.
Well, his plans are better than ours.
Yeah. Amen.
He's proved it over and over.
Well, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you came on. You have anything else you want to say before we close?
Just don't give up. If you have someone who's in addiction, it was 55 years before I finally came to, just don't give up on people. You can't enable them, but you can love them, and you can meet them right where they're at. Jesus always met people where they were. So I think that's what we have to make sure we do.
Amen. Thank you. Well, if you've enjoyed this podcast, One Broken Life, I would encourage you to jump on the Freeway Ministries website at freeway-ministries.com and partner with us. You can help us continue to do this, help us continue to do this ministry. This is a promotion of Freeway Ministries, a production of Freeway Ministries. And so you can share this with your friends on your whatever platforms you use, your podcast platform, your social media platform, and help us continue to reach one broken life at a time. My name is John Stroup, and myself and Brad Denney, we appreciate you watching. We'll see you next week.